Well, hey guys, thank you so much for coming and joining me again this week. Today, I'm going to be giving you 3 steps to switch your brain off from work at the end of the day so that you can go home and relax and enjoy yourself and not have your brain constantly switched on to school mode, thinking about everything that you need to have planned for tomorrow or thinking about how to deal with something that happened with a student today. I'm going to show you how you can switch your brain off so that you can actually go home and enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, enjoy some time, just not thinking about work. Now, before I do that, I want to just quickly let you know that if you haven't got a copy of my book, Work Less, Teach More, you can go and grab yourself a free copy. I just ask you to cover postage and handling. It will help you to reduce your workload and to maintain your effectiveness as a teacher. Just head over to teacherspd.net/free WLTM. And you can grab yourself a copy there. Well, I often find when I was teaching, and I'm sure you do too, that it gets hard to switch your brain off when you get home. Teaching is one of those jobs that just constantly is in your head. You're constantly thinking about what you did that day and whether or not you did a good enough job. You think about what happened with that student and why they were like that and how you could have done something better with that student. You might be lying in bed thinking about the next day and going, am I actually prepped for that? Oh no, I forgot to get the balloons. Something, I don't know, it doesn't have to be balloons, but you forgot a resource that you needed tomorrow or something. It's just this thing that's constantly in your brain. You're constantly thinking about your lesson plans, thinking about everything. And I found that quite difficult sometimes as a teacher to be able to switch off mentally. And so I learnt these 3 steps, which I'm going to teach you today, which have really changed my whole practice. I changed it up when I was a teacher, started doing this, made a big difference for me, and I know it's going to do the same for you. So the very first step is 5 to 10 minutes before you plan to go home, and you should have kind of like a set time that you just go home at. Highly recommend you do that. But number 1 is for you to actually, when there's 5 or 10 minutes left at the end of the day, to stop what you're doing and to pack up your desk. I want you to put everything away, put it all back where it goes, chuck your rubbish in the bin, take your plates. You've probably been eating at your desk. I know I used to. Right? Take all that food, put it away, take your plates, go and wash them up, wash up your mug that you've had your 3 coffees for today in, right? And just tidy up your space in that last few minutes of work. Because where you work actually impacts how your brain is functioning. And so you want your workspace to be tidy all the time, because it helps your brain to focus on what it needs to focus on, not be distracted, all that kind of stuff. So tidy up your desk, put everything where it belongs. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is for you to actually go through and pack up your computer. Now, I don't mean close your computer and put it in your bag to take it home with you. Okay, what I mean by packing up your computer is I want you to go through, make sure your documents are saved, and then close them all. Right? All your documents, your spreadsheets, whatever you have open, should all be closed. All of your tabs in your web browser all need to be closed. So if there are some things in your web browser that you want to save for later, like maybe you've been working on a particular program, or you've been giving kids feedback and you have a setup in your tabs that are done for you, you've got 3 tabs open that you're using to flick between things. What I want you to do, rather than leaving them open, is I do want you to close them. But there are 2 tools that you can use to make it really simple for you to close your tabs, but yet still find everything you need really quickly when you want to reopen them. And so the first one is called OneTab. So OneTab is a great little extension that you get for your Chrome browser. And basically you go up to OneTab in the top right-hand corner, you click on it, and when you click on it, it's going to close all of your tabs all at once. So there's only 1 tab left, right? That's why it's called OneTab. And then that 1 tab that's open will be OneTab's actual site. But on that site, you'll have your own personal site thing there that actually has a list of all the tabs and links to open up all those tabs again. And so you could then the next day when you want to go back to that work, you can open 1 tab and then click on the things, the documents that you want to open, the websites you want to open, and they all just open up again as new tabs in your Chrome browser. So that's one way that you can do that to make it easy for you to still close all those tabs and not have to then spend 10 minutes the next day trying to find what you were looking for. I know I do that sometimes. I could do all this research and I find a great website that's got really good details and data or something in it that I'm using for something I'm doing with my students, and so I'll be analyzing that and stuff, and then I get to the end of the day and I'm like, I can't lose that page. Right? It took me half an hour to find that page, and so one tab enabled me to get straight to that page really quickly. The other tool you could use either alongside or instead of one tab is a tool called Toby. Toby is another extension in Chrome, and what Toby allows you to do is that you can open up Toby as its own little tab that opens up in your browser, and you can actually then categorize all of your tabs that are open. And so if you have 3 tabs that are particularly for one task, you could label a new section of tabs as working on, let's just say it's your Year 7 science programs, right, that you're working on. And so you're going to then save those tabs into that collection. And you can do that for multiple collections. And so then when you need it, you just open Toby, you go to the collection you want, and bang, 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 you can open the whole collection at once and have your 3, 5, 6, whatever tabs that you've been working on up and open, ready for you to flick through again, all done. So they're 2 tools that will enable you to really shut down and clean up, right, pack up your computer. And so you're closing your documents, you're closing all of your web browsing stuff, you're closing, and this is probably the most important thing for you to close, is your email. Make sure that email is completely closed. And I highly recommend too that you go into your computer, whatever computer you've got, find the settings and make sure that your email software, right, so whether it's Outlook or Gmail or whatever, make sure it is not set to be opened up automatically when you log in. Okay, because you do not want to start your day by opening your computer and having your email there in front of you with a list of things that other people want you to do. You want to start your day off by doing the number one thing that you want to get done that day and planning out and getting that done that day before you open your email, because your email is going to distract you from your deep work generally. So that's step 2. We've packed up our desk in step 1. In step 2, we're packing up our computer, making sure it is properly closed down for us. Now, step number 3 is for you to make a plan. Now, a plan can be anything that is not completely finished. So you can look at your program you're working on or whatever, and just quickly jot down some points of what you need to do to get that done tomorrow or the next time you come to it. It could be that you're halfway through a lesson plan. What do you need to do to just finish that off? Maybe you just need to find an activity that does this, or you need to create a crossword or something. I don't know what you need to do, but just make your little list of what you need to finish doing to make sure that lesson plan is complete. The other thing that you want to do is make sure you make a plan for things that have to do with students. So maybe you had an issue with a student that day, or something's plaguing your mind about what's happened in your classroom. So what I want you to do before you leave is just sit down and make a plan of what you might do. And sometimes that could be like a script. Like if you needed to make a phone call to a parent and you didn't get to that, you could just quickly write out your script right before you finish the day that you could then use the next day. If it's going to be a hard conversation, if it's going to be an easy conversation, we're calling them to congratulate them. You don't need a script for that. But if you're having a difficult conversation with parents that can sometimes be difficult, then having a script to help you to stick with that is going to be really helpful for when you make that phone call, to help you to just stick with to saying what you want to say and not getting distracted and getting caught into other things that those parents might bring up. So they're the 3 main steps. So we're packing up our desk, we're packing up our computer, closing everything, still then close your computer, right? Make sure it's charged. I would encourage you to leave your computer at work too, charge it at work, go home, and then you don't have to do any work at home, and then come in the next morning and get stuck into what you want to do. And then make a plan, right? So we're making a plan for anything that's not finished, because what happens is your brain hates things that are not finished. If you get halfway through a song and turn it off, that song will be stuck in your head all day. And the reason it's stuck in your head is because it didn't complete. And your brain knows that that song didn't finish, and so it gets stuck in there. And the same thing happens with lots of things. If you get halfway through a program and then you stop, or you get halfway through a unit of work, a lesson plan, and you stop, then what happens is that halfway through you're kind of constantly planning it until you get back to it to finish it. And by making that little list, you're actually telling your brain, I have a plan for finishing it. I don't need to think about it anymore. And then you're good to go. It's kind of like it's complete, but even though it's not quite complete. So that really works. It really helps to switch off your brain when you get home so that you're not focusing on work. It can really help reduce your stress levels too, because your work is not impacting everything else that you're doing for the rest of the day as you go home for the evening. So I really want to encourage you to give those 3 steps a try this week to shut things down. And if you like this kind of stuff, if you're finding it enjoyable, do make sure you go and get a copy of my book, To Work Less and Teach More. This kind of stuff is in there to help you to reduce your workload and enable you to be a more effective teacher in the classroom. You can go and get one of those at teacherspd.net/free WLTM for Work Less, Teach More. Grab yourself a copy. I would love to send it to you for free. So go do that. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to chatting with you again next week.